At one point in my wedding business, I was working a full-time job during the week, and then I would spend my weekends planning out my Instagram content. I'm talking like batching photos, writing captions. I mean, obsessing over your grid was a thing back in 2017 when I started, but I was committed to the process. And what I so wish is that someone had told me that there were Instagram marketing alternatives in the wedding industry. That's what I'm going to share today. Not because I don't think you're doing a fabulous job on Instagram. I'm sure you are, but I am a firm believer that it is not the best way to market your wedding business or really any business, which I know is different than what you have been hearing. Now, before we dive in, I'm Kara and I started my destination wedding business, Love It First Travel, in 2017. The company still runs today, even though I have since pivoted to offering blogging and Pinterest marketing services for wedding pros and other creative business owners. So you can probably get a little teaser on what we're going to talk about today in terms of Instagram marketing alternatives. But I'll start with bringing the receipts. I'm going to take you all the way back. So I started my business in 2017. My heart was full of hustle, and it sounds like ChatGPT wrote that for me. Then in 2020, travel came to a screeching halt. And honestly, shout out to the other travel agents, destination wedding planners that were right there with me during the pandemic, because that is easily the most stressful time of my entire life. That's when I started this business, because I was like, what am I going to do for money? I was like, marketing has always worked well for me. I guess I'll try that. So anyway, I look back at that fondly now in 2026 because everything worked out. I did not look at it fondly then. But my point is, when travel came to a halt, I was totally burnt out, stressed out, trying to rebook everybody, do all the things. And the last thing on my mind at that time was Instagram content, because I was pretty sure I was going to close up shop and be done. What surprised me though, and like when I say surprised, I mean not fake surprise, genuinely surprised, is I was like, we were still getting inquiries. How are we still getting inquiries? I'm not marketing my business anymore. And what's crazy is that's when I realized the true power of blogging and Pinterest. And then I went back and looked at past data, and I was like, all of my wedding business was coming from blogging and Pinterest, even though I was spending like 5 to 10% of the time on those platforms, compared to like, again, giving up my Saturdays to do it on Instagram. I really remember like pulling the CSV files from my CRM, and that moment completely changed how I felt about marketing, because I didn't realize you could build something once and then get found for like months and years after at that time, the way that I so clearly do now, almost 9 years into my entrepreneurial journey. In case you're new to me, you won't have heard me talk about this before, but I want to introduce you to a topic that I like to call search-driven marketing, which is basically like any like getting found online. If somebody is starting with a search, I want you to be found. I think that is, in general, the best way to market your business, because you're getting in front of people who already know that they want what you have to offer. We can talk more about the nuances of problem aware and solution aware people. I'm sure I'll create another video about it at some time, at some point. So please make sure you're subscribed. However, to make things simple, Pinterest, blogging for SEO, Google, AI search, TikTok, YouTube, all of that can kind of fall into this category. But for wedding business specifically, blogging and Pinterest are my big two. Because when somebody is engaged, what do? They open their laptop and they start Googling. They start Googling things like wedding planner in my city, best resort weddings in Mexico, questions to ask a wedding photographer, spring wedding color palettes. They're looking for information. They're looking for inspiration. They're already in decision-making mode. And in the wedding industry, you have an extra advantage in that their decisions are relatively time sensitive. I know in 2026, we are seeing couples take their time to make a decision to hire you. They're reaching out and they're deciding months later. I'm not going to deny that that is a real factor in 2026. However, what I would say is, because I work with other creative business owners like website designers or copywriters, those decisions are not time bound at all. They can have people find them and follow them for literally years before they hire them. So I actually think wedding businesses are at a huge advantage that is not often talked about enough. When couples are looking for solutions to their problem, they are in decision-making mode. They're not mindlessly scrolling. Well, maybe they are, but oftentimes they're like literally like looking while they're at their day job to try and like get information, and they're ready to inquire most of the time. So let's talk about blogging first, because I really believe that it is still the most underrated tool in the wedding industry. Yes, in the age of AI. Yes, in the age of ChatGPT. And I want to say something here that trips a lot of people up is you don't have to be a great writer. So stop right there. You just have to answer questions your couples are asking. AI has sort of leveled the playing field. I mean, I literally write blogs for a living. So let me tell you, it has leveled the playing field, because oftentimes my clients would come to me being like, I just can't write blogs. I'm not a good writer. And now they're more coming to me for strategy, because anyone can write. Anyone can write a blog. So we're going to talk about strategy here. Think about what your couples are Googling before they've ever heard of you. What are the things someone's searching for before they're starting to plan their wedding? Now, it is important to think about like customer journey, in that if you're a wedding planner, I don't really want you to be blogging about like what to put in wedding bags, welcome bags, because by the time somebody's searching for that, they've already made their planning decision most of the time, unless you specialize in something like coordination. One structural thing that I would say most wedding vendors who are blogging for their business miss is always introduce yourself at the top of the post. Most people who come to you because your blogs rank on Google aren't landing on your homepage first. They're landing on a blog first. And unless you make it very clear, like who you are and how you can help, people won't know. They won't know that you're different from like The Knot or Wedding Wire or any of these other wedding publications that give brides and grooms tons of information. So it's really important. Like whenever I write a blog, I'm always introducing the topic first, and then I'm introducing myself. Like, by the way, I'm Kara. Here's how you can work with me, or whatever you would say. I also think while we're talking about structure, an important thing to make sure that your blogs will actually lead to business is calls to action. So I don't mean like your typical like contact me to learn more. I mean like, how can we meet them at whatever stage of the journey they are? So like I give them all the options. Read another post about this. Join my email list, go to my services page, check out my portfolio page, come follow me on Instagram if you're active there. You don't know if the reader of your blog just got engaged literally yesterday or 6 months ago and they're ready to book. So offer them the full menu. I also think consistency really matters. So once every week or every 2 weeks is a good starting point. The thing about blogging is that it compounds. No way about it. So if you start now because you saw this video and hey, you took my word for it and you're going to start blogging for your business, love that for you. A year from now, you could have either 52 blog posts or 26 blog posts if you're doing every second week. Both are great, but I think it's pretty clear that if you blog once a week, you're going to see twice the results, because each blog post is truly its own unique opportunity to rank. Now let's talk about Pinterest, my second favorite Instagram marketing alternative for wedding pros. So this one gets dismissed more than it should. So I want to make the case clearly. So first, Pinterest is not Instagram, so don't treat it that way. Dumping your photo galleries into Pinterest is not going to lead to conversion. What works on Pinterest for wedding pros who want to get bookings from it is typically custom graphics that are going to lead to content, lead to those blog posts, pins that answer questions, solve problems, provide inspiration. When people ask me about pinning image only, I say test it with your own account. I have some accounts that do well with this, but most of the time, those kind of pins get saved. They don't get clicked on. And unless they're getting clicked on, they're not going to lead to bookings. You typically don't want to be investing, whether you're investing your time or money to hire someone, into Pinterest so that couples can save your images to their inspiration board and then give it to their other vendors, right? You want to be found and you want to be booked. And that's why graphics versus image only pins is so important. I also want to say this, the lifespan of a pin is incomparable to any other visual platform. Like a reel might last you 48 hours. A pin can literally last years. We have pins bringing couples to us from 2017 to 2018. And I know that the pins are from that time, because sometimes on the pin, it's like destination wedding packages that are under $5,000 in 2018, for example. We have a lot of pins like that. So I know they're still bringing people, and that's just kind of a unique advantage that I have. But I also want to say, I think of pins a lot like the stock market. So the earlier you kind of start making deposits, the more you'll benefit over time. It really does build slowly, but it compounds. The average pin actually peaks 6 months after it's published. So if you pin something today, if you pin something 2 months from now, if you pin something 6 months from now, like if you are consistent for like 8 months and it still feels like it's taking a long time to kick off, That's actually normal. It's actually normal. It takes the platform a while to trust you. I wish that it didn't. It's not my platform, okay? But it is my platform of choice because once it trusts you, I really believe the results are bar none. And Pinterest has an extra hidden advantage. I'm going to say two hidden, actually. I'm going to go for three. So one, it shows up in the Google Image tab, and we know if couples are getting married at a venue, they're looking up weddings at XYZ venue, they're heading to the image tab. They are absolutely looking there. So if you have pins that show up there, you are at an advantage. Second, it shows up in the Google AI search overview, not all the time, but quite often. I will find images of my business or my client's business, and it will be a pin image that is next to the AI overview. It's very appealing. Your eye naturally gravitates to it and wants to click it. So that's another advantage. And then the third one is that it provides backlinks and makes your website SEO stronger overall. Blog posts that are pinned to on Pinterest will outperform blog posts that just live in the ecosystem of your website. So here's what I really want you to take away from this. Search-driven marketing gives you so much control because you choose the keyword, you create the content, and then you decide what you want to show up for. This is actually just a small tangent. When I started in the wedding industry and I wanted to specialize in destination weddings, do you know how hard that was to market on Instagram when I didn't have any photos of destination weddings? Right? I had no social proof. I had no visuals outside of like the stock photos the resorts would share for marketing material, right? I talk to wedding pros about this all the time. Like, if you want to break into a new niche, like maybe you want to specialize in adventure elopements or destination weddings in Italy or whatever your niche is, how are you going to do that if you don't have any content around it? And blogging is the best way because it is text-based. You can show your expertise via text to get people to see that you are the best option for your destination wedding in Italy. You can capture people that are looking for destination wedding in Italy, best venues in Tuscany, how to plan a wedding in Santorini, whatever. You are not limited to trying to make stories or marketing assets based on what you already have. You can literally create something and choose the people that you're targeting. If you don't want budget couples, you cannot write about budget things, right? On Instagram, you don't have the same control because they're going to show the couples what they want. All the couples. Maybe my favorite thing about blogging and Pinterest is I truly think of it like building assets for your business. You can update blog posts over time. You can make things better. Like, it really is one of the only ways to break out of the content burnout cycle that you will be in if you go all in on social media platforms. They're just not long lasting. So I'm not saying you have to blog once a week forever, but I'd love to ask you to commit to the next year or 2 years if I could be so bold. Build that bank and trust the process. If you want to go deeper on any of this, I have a private podcast called Build It Once, Get Found for Months, and I go deep into my search-driven marketing framework, strategy, philosophy, whatever you want to call it, and I'd love to welcome you there. Details for where to find that will be in the description box below. Make sure to subscribe, like this video if you want to see more of it, and bye for now.